I have embarked on a bit of home improvement adventure, which involves removing all of my wall-to-wall carpet, which after 18 years is very much in need of a replacement. However, I won't be replacing it. It will be removed permanently in order to uncover the wood floor beneath, which I will sand and paint. So that's going to be a bit of work. The first part of this project is to remove all of these plywood sheets that cover the entire floor. When I got this place 18 years ago, there was already a fairly worn and dirty wall-to-wall carpet, and back then I didn't have the time or the experience to attempt what I'm trying to do now, so I just got a carpet company to install a new carpet. I suspect all of this was made back in the 1960s. The building itself is from 1783, but I remember reading from the documents I got with the purchase that the building had undergone extensive renovations in the 60s. And I can imagine that back in the 60s, the renovators thought that nobody wants old and worn wooden floors anymore. Wall-to-wall carpets, that's what's modern, that's what people want. As for the floor itself, I doubt it's the original floor from 1783, but yeah, could maybe be more than a century old, I don't know. I've sanded a small patch here with my bell sander, and it looks like the floor has originally been dark stained and then at some point painted light blue. And as mentioned, I'm also planning to paint it, mainly because of all these nail holes here. Because the plywood sheets, they've been nailed to the floor with hundreds of small nails, so I will need to fill the nail holes somehow. And I'm not sure if it's possible to hide them completely in case I want to treat the floor with some clear lacquer or something. What I plan to do is use wood dust from sanding the floor and mix it with some binding agent to use as filler. And although that could give you a filler that might match the color of the wood, I don't know if you would still notice all the nail holes when they are like simply all over the floor everywhere. But if I fill the holes and paint the floor, you should notice it. And actually, I would just prefer a painted floor. I've seen some nice painted floor in some of the other old buildings in my town, and I like it. So yeah, I'm thinking about painting in white. However, that will all come later. For now, I'm just happy to see my floor for the first time. I've lived here 18 years and I've never seen my actual floor planks. So when I removed the first plywood sheet and sanded this bit, it was a bit like going on an archaeological excavation where you don't know, will you find something good or will you just find two dried turds and half a smelly steak that you classify as having unknown ritual purposes because you've got no idea what it is. And I'm not sure where I'm going with this. But yeah, uncovering this patch was very reassuring. But for now, all the decisions with filler and painting and whatnot, they will come later. Right now, the task is to remove all of the plywood sheets. The main obstacle in the way of removing the next sheets of plywood is my furniture. And that is actually one of the main challenges with this whole project because I have a single room flat. I have an attic space above where I will be moving most of my furniture, but I can't live up there for the next few months because winter is approaching and it's cold up there, and then there might be ghosts at night. So down here I will need to keep just enough furniture so I can actually live here while I'm working on the floor. And I will need my coffee table and couch and computer because this is where I sit and play computer games, and I need to play games because I simply need to. And I also need to keep my sim rig because it's a pain to disassemble. And I also need to race cars in virtual reality on a regular basis, which is a need I don't think I need to justify. And I also need to keep my piano because what is life without music? So what I need to do is put some furniture wheels on my coffee table and couch so I can wheel them around the place as I'm working. The piano is very light, so I can just lift and move it when needed. And for the sim rig, I need to make a wooden platform on wheels underneath. And for that purpose, I need a few large plywood sheets. And luck would have it that I have recently acquired some large plywood sheets from somewhere in the vicinity. Yes. But the first thing I need to do is move the coffee table. And because I need to move it now, I'll just make a temporary set of wheels. I'll maybe make an entirely new coffee table when I'm done with the floor. I made this one around 10 years ago. The paint is a little worn in places, and because I have more experience, more tools than I had 10 years ago, I would just like to make a new one at some point, and one that was designed from the start to be on wheels. But to put wheels on the current coffee table, I will be using these ones that I originally had underneath my old computer cabinet that I'm not using anymore. And because the wheels are wider than this bit, I made some pieces of wood that I can screw underneath here in order to attach the wheels. And because the wheels will obviously raise the height of the table by a few centimeters, I need to cut a bit off the bottom. And that means circular saw. And with that part done, I now have two lovely new pieces of scrap wood. And it's oak. I made this from an oak kitchen tabletop. And that is probably the most compelling reason for making a new coffee table before long, because all of the wood I will be able to reclaim from this. Oh. Only downside is I will need a bunch of paint stripper, and that smells. Anyway, back to the wheels. I have attached the pieces of wood to the table, and while screwing them in, held them in place with a couple of clamps. And holding a piece of wood with one hand while attaching two clamps at the same time with the other hand, that's where I could have used a pair of extra hands. But sadly, Igor, my woodworking minion, he doesn't exist. So this is where I will just drop a quick hint to my family that would be a wonderful gift for Christmas. To make sure the wood pieces stay on when I move the table around, because as mentioned, it's oak, so it is a little heavy. I have used a couple of thick screws and washers so I could screw it on extra super hard. So that is the coffee table on wheels now. And it doesn't look too shabby. I cut this chamfer on my router table because a chamfer makes the edge hurt less when you stub your toe. And it looks nicer. It certainly makes it look less like, right, that's just some scrap wood from your workshop, innit? And because it now looks fairly nice, I'm thinking I might paint it to make it even nicer. And also to cover up the few burn marks it got from routing. Ideally, I should have painted the wood before attaching it to the table, but I could just paint it while it's on the floor here, because at the moment I am not terribly concerned about getting paint on the floor. But anyway, with the coffee table now wonderfully mobile, I can get started on removing the next sheet of plywood. To remove the carpet, all I need to do is just cut it with a Stanley knife, and then after 18 years the carpet glue is so dry I can just rip it off with my bare hands. Well, you know what I mean. The most effective way I came up with to remove the plywood sheets is first to hammer in a chisel where I've dulled the edge so it doesn't cut into the floor. Then I can get the crowbar in, and with the crowbar I can lift up the sheets to get some wedges in, and then I keep putting in larger and larger wedges until I can get these large wedges in. They're just some scrap wood I kept for many years. And now it has turned out to be very useful and very good at prying these sheets with the nails and everything off the floor. Whoa! Yeah, got more wood down in the workshop. And that is one more plywood sheet removed. Takes around 20 minutes, half an hour or so. So that will actually be the part of the project that will require the least amount of work in getting all of these off the whole floor. What is a lot of work at the moment is packing all my stuff, taking all my furniture apart and moving it out of the way. And I also need to remove all of the nails from the plywood sheet so I can use them again. And also so I can use it again, I need to find an efficient way to get rid of all the carpet glue, because that would be quite a lot of work to just scrape it off manually. The sort of task that probably only Sisyphus would envy me and be like, oh, what I wouldn't give to scrape carpet glue off plywood sheets. Must be a terrifically wonderful job. Another part of this project that's not the most fun part is getting rid of all the carpet that's piling up and getting it to the recycling center, because I don't have a car. But I have a bicycle trailer, and the recycling center is only a 5-kilometer bike ride away, and only 3 kilometers of those are more or less non-stop uphill. But still, it's only carpeted. It's not like it's a terribly heavy load. So I like to imagine Sisyphus going, oh, look at you hauling carpet uphill. You lucky bastard. You lucky, lucky bastard. So on that happy thought, I think I'll end this part of the floor project video for now. I'll get the next part done once I get more work done. So see you then, and thanks for watching, and God bless.